The human had not moved for 3 cycles. His body lay on the low healing platform, tall and heavy, far larger than any of the other wounded beings brought to the station. Metal restraints were not needed. His injuries were enough to keep him still. Deep burns crossed his chest and arms. Strange blood, red and thick, had dried along his side. His breathing was slow but strong, like a machine that refused to shut down. Lyra moved carefully as she worked. She was not a soldier. She was not even a trained healer. She was a station caretaker, assigned to clean, wash, and prepare the injured for real medical staff. But after the battle, there were too many wounded, and not enough hands. So Lyra had been sent here, to the quiet side room, with the unconscious human. She had been afraid when she first saw him. Humans were new to the galaxy. Strong, loud, violent, according to many reports. The stories said they fought, even when dying. They did not surrender easily. They did not break. Lyra had expected something terrifying. Instead, she saw a man who looked still, broken, silent. His eyes were closed. His face was rough, marked with old scars. Dark hair clung to his forehead. His chest rose and fell slowly. The monitor beside him glowed softly, confirming what the doctors had already said. Alive, stable, but deeply unconscious.
"Clean him," her supervisor had said. "Remove the blood and
prepare him for later treatment." So Lyra did. She filled a basin with warm cleansing liquid and soaked the cloth. Her hands trembled at first. She reminded herself that he could not feel anything, that he was asleep, that he was just another body needing care. Still, she worked slowly. She wiped dried blood from his arm. The skin beneath was pale, but firm. Very firm. Humans were built like war creatures. Dense muscles, heavy bones. Everything about him felt strong, even when he was broken. She moved to his chest, carefully cleaning the burns and sealing them with healing gel. His breathing did not change. His face did not move. "He really is unconscious," she whispered to herself. Time passed quietly. The station lights dimmed slightly as the cycle shifted. Outside the room, alarms had stopped. The battle was over. For now. Lyra continued washing him, following instructions exactly. Clean. Check. Seal. Cover. When she reached his lower body, she hesitated. This part always made her uncomfortable, no matter the species. Caretaking required full cleaning to prevent infection. She reminded herself again. This was medical. This was duty. She worked carefully, professionally, never looking longer than needed. That was when it happened. The human's fingers twitched. Lyra froze. She held her breath and waited. Nothing else moved. Her heart beat fast. Many wounded beings had nerve reactions. Small movements meant nothing. She told herself this was normal. She continued. Then his breathing changed. It was small at first. A deeper inhale. A stronger exhale. The monitor flickered. Lyra stepped back. "No," she whispered. "No, you're not." The human's hand closed. Not tightly, not violently. Just enough to show control. Lyra stared at it. That was not a reflex. Her ears flattened in fear.
"Security?" she said softly, reaching for the call pad. Before she could touch it, the human's eyes opened.
They were dark, focused, alert, not confused, not empty, watching her. Lyra stumbled backward, nearly dropping the basin. Fear flooded her body. Humans were not supposed to wake this soon. His injuries should have kept him unconscious for days. "You're awake," she said, her voice shaking. The human did not speak. He blinked once, slowly. Then he released his grip and relaxed his hand, showing no aggression. His eyes moved around the room, taking everything in. The walls, the lights, the medical tools. Finally, his gaze returned to her. "Where am I?" he asked. His voice was rough, weak, but steady. Lyra swallowed hard. "You're on a medical station?" she replied.
You were injured in the battle. You should not be awake.
He frowned slightly, then winced as pain reached him. His jaw tightened, but he did not cry out. "Figures," he muttered. That single word sent a strange chill through Lyra. No fear, no panic, just acceptance. She pressed the alert pad.
"He's awake," she said into it. "The human soldier."
"He's conscious." The human watched her do it, but did not stop her. "Relax," he said. "I'm not going anywhere." That made her even more uneasy. "Please remain still," she said, backing away. "Medical staff will arrive soon." He nodded once, then closed his eyes briefly. Breathing through the pain, sweat formed along his brow. "You were cleaning me," he said. "Yes," Lyra answered carefully. "Thanks," he said. Most would have left me like that. She did not know what to say to that. No one had ever thanked her before. Caretakers were invisible, necessary, replaceable. "You are welcome," she said. Footsteps echoed in the hall. The human opened his eyes again, sharper this time. "Before they come," he said, "tell me something." Lyra hesitated. "Why are you afraid of me?" he asked. She stared at him, surprised by the question. "Dangerous?" she answered honestly. "That is what we are told." He gave a tired half-smile.
"Yeah," he said. "We get that a lot." Medical staff rushed in then, surrounding the platform.
They checked readings, adjusted equipment, and spoke rapidly in clipped tones. He should not be conscious. Neural response too strong. Sedate him. The human's eyes stayed on Lyra as they worked. "Hey," he said before the sedative took effect. "You did good." Then his eyes closed again. This time, he did not fight it. Lyra stood frozen as the staff finished their work and left the room quieter than before. She looked at the human one last time. He was unconscious again. But now, everything felt different. Because she knew something the others did not. Humans did not wake because they were careless. They woke because they refused to stay down. And something told her this was only the beginning. The humans slept again, but the room did not feel quiet anymore. Lyra stood near the wall as the medical staff finished their checks. Soft lights moved over the human's body. Machines hummed. The lead healer, a tall Virex with silver skin, studied the readings with growing confusion. "His neural activity is too strong," the healer said. "Sedation should have held." "He woke once," Lyra said carefully. He spoke. Several eyes turned toward her. "You are certain?" the healer asked. "Yes," Lyra replied. He was aware. He asked questions. The healer's crest lifted slightly. "That is unusual?"
They adjusted the machines again, adding more stabilizers. The human did not move.
His breathing remained slow, steady, stubbornly strong. "Who is he?" Lyra asked before she could stop herself.
The healer paused.
"You were not told?"
"No."
"He is a frontline human soldier," the healer said. "Captured during the retreat. High survival priority." That answer explained nothing. When the staff finally left, the door sealed shut. Lyra was alone again with the human. She should have returned to her duties. There were many wounded on the station. But her feet would not move. She watched him. His face looked calmer now, less tense, still dangerous, she reminded herself, still human. But when he had looked at her, there had been no threat in his eyes. Only awareness, pain, and something else she could not name. Hours passed. At some point, the lights dimmed further. Lyra sat on a low stool near the wall, pretending to review cleaning logs. In truth, she was listening. The human breathed. She had never heard breathing like that. It sounded deep, heavy, like a creature built to survive storms. The monitor suddenly flickered again. Lyra stood at once. His fingers moved. His jaw tightened. His eyes opened slowly this time. Not sharp, but focused. "You're back," he said quietly. Lyra's heart jumped.
"You should not be awake," she said again, though it felt pointless now. "Yeah," he said.
Story of my life. He tried to lift his head and failed. Pain crossed his face, but he swallowed it down. "Don't move," Lyra said, stepping closer despite herself. "You are injured." "I know," he said.
Feels like I lost a fight with a shuttle?
She did not understand the words, but she understood the tone. Humor, dry, controlled. "You were sedated," she said. "Twice." "Figures," he replied. "Human metabolism. Doctors hate it." She frowned. "You speak as if you've done this before." "Too many times," he said. They were quiet for a moment. "What is your name?" Lyra asked. He hesitated, then answered. "Evan." She repeated it softly. "Evan, what about you?" he asked. "I am Lyra." "Nice to meet you, Lyra," Evan said. No prisoner had ever said that to her. "You are not afraid now," he added. She blinked. "I am," he smiled, faintly. "You're still here." Before she could respond, the door slid open. 2 security officers entered, their weapons visible but not raised. "He is awake again," one of them said sharply. Evan looked at them without interest. "Relax, I'm not exactly in fighting shape." "That remains to be seen," the officer replied. Lyra stepped back instinctively, but Evan noticed. "Hey," he said to the guards, "she's not a threat. She's the one who kept me clean while I was out." The guards glanced at Lyra, then at each other.
That is irrelevant,
one said. "Human, you are to remain silent." Evan laughed quietly, then stopped when pain caught him. "Good luck with that," he muttered. The lead healer returned soon after, clearly annoyed. "This is becoming inefficient," the healer said. "Human, you will be restrained." "No need," Evan said. "I can barely move." "Your species is unpredictable," the healer replied. Evan met the healer's gaze. "So are yours. Difference is, I don't pretend otherwise." The healer studied him closely, then turned to the guards. "Stand down." "He is not hostile." Lyra let out a breath she did not realize she was holding. The healer approached Evan. "Why did you wake?" Evan shrugged slightly. "Didn't want to die. That is not an answer." "For humans, it is," Evan said. The healer made a sound of frustration and adjusted the equipment again. "You will be monitored constantly," the healer said. "If you wake again, you will be questioned." Evan nodded. "Fair." When they left, silence returned. "You shouldn't talk back to them," Lyra said. Evan glanced at her. "You shouldn't be here alone with me." She surprised herself by answering, "I am not alone. I choose to be here." He studied her face. "Why?" she thought carefully. "Because you woke. And because you spoke kindly." Evan looked away. "Don't get used to that." "Why?" she asked. "Because I'm a soldier," he said. "And soldiers bring trouble." She tilted her head. "You were injured saving others, were you not?" He looked back at her, surprised. "How do you know that?" "Your wounds," she said. "They are defensive, positioned between attack angles." Evan was quiet for a long time. "Yeah," he said finally. "Guess you're smarter than most." Something shifted in the air between them. "Why are you really here?" Lyra asked. "To survive." Evan said. And if I can, to make sure my people do too.
Even now? She asked. Especially now.
The monitor beeped again, but this time it was steady. Evan's eyes grew heavy. Looks like they finally figured out how to knock me out, he said. Before sleep took him, he added, Lyra? Yes. Thanks for not seeing me as a monster, she answered without thinking.
You are not.
His eyes closed. This time, the room felt different again. Not dangerous, but important. Outside the room, whispers spread. Reports were filed. A human soldier had awakened early. He had spoken calmly. He had shown restraint. That alone caused concern, because the galaxy feared humans when they were angry. But no one knew what to do with a human who was awake, wounded, and still choosing kindness. And Lyra, a simple caretaker, was now part of something far larger than she understood. The station did not sleep. Even when the lights dimmed and corridors grew quiet, systems watched, scanned, listened. After Evan woke for the third time, those systems paid closer attention to one room than any other. Lyra felt it before she understood it. More guards passed the door. New sensors were installed. Voices outside lowered when they spoke near her. The human was no longer just a wounded soldier. He was something that made people uneasy. Evan woke slowly. Pain greeted him first. It was everywhere, deep and sharp, like his body was reminding him of every bad choice he had ever made. He breathed through it, steady and controlled. "You're awake again," Lyra said. "Yes," he replied. "Still me." She stepped closer, holding a small scanner. "Try not to move. I'll try not to exist," he said dryly. She almost smiled. "Almost? You have visitors," she said.
Let me guess, Evan said. Important ones. The door opened before she could answer.
3 figures entered. One was the silver-skinned healer. The other 2 wore dark command armor, marked with symbols Lyra recognized from the war feeds. High authority. Lyra instinctively stepped back, but Evan noticed. "It's okay," he said quietly. "I've seen scarier rooms." One of the armored figures studied him closely. Human soldier Evan Carter. Evan's eyes sharpened.
That's me. You were reported unconscious, the figure said. Twice. Yeah, Evan replied.
I keep disappointing people. This was not received well.
You are aware you are a prisoner, the figure said.
I'm aware I can't walk, Evan answered. That usually limits options.
The second figure spoke, voice calmer. You were part of the rear guard during the retreat. Yes. You stayed behind when ordered to withdraw. Yes. That decision cost many lives. Evan met the figure's gaze. It saved more. Silence stretched. The healer broke it. Human physiology continues to surprise us. Your survival rate is statistically unreasonable. Evan shrugged as much as he could. We're stubborn. You are more than that, the first figure said. Your unit delayed an entire advance. Our forces could not predict it. Evan's jaw tightened.
We didn't delay. We held. That distinction matters to you, the figure replied.
It does. Lyra watched the exchange, heart racing. She had never seen anyone speak like this to command and live. Why did you wake? The second figure asked. Evan looked past them, toward Lyra. Because someone cared enough to keep me alive, he said. All eyes turned to her. Lyra stiffened. I only did my duty. Duty doesn't explain kindness, Evan said. The first figure narrowed their eyes. Human, you are manipulating perception. No, Evan replied. I'm stating a fact. The second figure studied Lyra for a long moment. You are a caretaker.
Yes, she said quietly.
Did he threaten you? No. Did he attempt escape? No. Did he harm anyone? No. The figure turned back to Evan. You are unusual. Evan sighed.
I keep hearing that.
After they left, the room felt smaller. They were evaluating you, Lyra said.
Yeah, Evan replied. They're trying to decide what kind of problem I am. And what kind are you? He thought for a moment. The kind that doesn't go away. Later, alarms sounded. Not loud ones. Controlled ones. Lyra froze.
That's not medical.
Evan's eyes sharpened.
No. That's tactical!
The station lights shifted to alert tones. Overhead announcements spoke rapidly. External breach detected. Sector 4. That's close, Lyra whispered. Evan tried to sit up and failed. Pain flooded him, but he forced his breathing steady. Lyra, he said.
Listen to me. Yes, if something happens, you need to leave. I cannot leave you, she said immediately. You can, he replied.
You should. The room shook. A distant explosion echoed through the station.
Lyra's ears flattened in fear.
What is happening? Someone found us, Evan said grimly.
Or someone followed the retreat? The door slid open again. A guard rushed in.
Caretaker, evacuate now,
the guard ordered.
What about him?
She asked. The guard hesitated.
Orders are unclear.
Evan laughed once, sharp and bitter. Figures. Another explosion hit closer. Evan's gaze hardened.
Help me sit up. You cannot fight, Lyra said. I don't need to fight, he replied.
I need to think. Against every rule, she helped him. His weight surprised her even through the pain.
He clenched his teeth, but said nothing.
What are you doing? She asked.
Listening, Evan said. He closed his eyes. The station trembled again. They're not attacking randomly, he said.
They're moving toward command systems. How do you know? Pattern, he replied. Humans learn it fast.
Others do too. The guard stared at him. You're injured, and you're about to lose the station, Evan replied. The guard hesitated, then activated their comm. Moments later, the silver healer returned, followed by the calm authority figure. Human, the figure said. What do you know? Evan opened his eyes.
You're being tested.
By whom? By whoever wants to see how you react under pressure, Evan said. If you scatter, they win.
If you lock down everything, they map your defenses. Silence.
Your evacuation routes are predictable, Evan continued. You need to change them. The figure studied him.
Why help us? Evan looked at Lyra. Because some people don't deserve to die today, he said.
Orders changed quickly after that. Routes shifted. Traps activated. The station did not fall into panic. The attack slowed. Hours later, the alarms stopped. Damage reports came in. The station was damaged but alive. Evan lay back, exhausted. You were right, the authority figure said quietly. Your insight prevented greater loss. Good, Evan replied. Now sedate me properly. Lyra almost laughed from relief. Before he slept, Evan looked at her. You okay? He asked.
Yes,
she said.
Are you?
Still here. That night, the report spread beyond the station. A wounded human prisoner had advised defense strategy. He had not escaped. He had not attacked. He had helped. Command across multiple systems took notice, because if a single injured human could change the outcome of an attack while barely conscious, then the stories about humans were incomplete. And incomplete stories were dangerous. Lyra sat beside him long after he slept. She no longer wondered why she stayed. She already knew. This human was not just surviving. He was changing things, and the galaxy was starting to feel it. The station survived the attack, but it did not return to normal. Repairs began immediately. Damaged corridors were sealed. Power was rerouted. Ships arrived and left in tight formation, guarded more heavily than before. The quiet medical wing where Evan lay now felt like the center of something much larger. Lyra noticed the change first. Guards were no longer just passing by. They were stationed outside the door at all times. New devices watched the room. Even the air felt different, heavier, like everyone was holding their breath. Evan slept longer this time. When he finally woke, his eyes opened slowly, carefully, as if he expected pain to rush in again. It did, but he was learning its shape. He breathed through it, steady and controlled.
You're awake, Lyra said softly. Still, he replied. That's becoming a habit.
She moved closer, scanning his readings. Your body is adapting faster than expected. Humans do that, he said.
Or we break. No middle ground. She hesitated, then said, You are no longer listed as only a prisoner. That caught his attention.
Oh. You are now classified as a strategic asset, she said, unsure of the words. Evan laughed, then stopped when pain bit him.
That sounds worse. It means command is watching you, Lyra said. Closely. Yeah, Evan replied. I figured that out when they doubled the guards. As if summoned, the door opened. The calm authority figure entered again, this time alone. No armor, no visible weapons.
Human Evan Carter, the figure said. How do you feel? Like I should charge rent, Evan answered.
The figure ignored the joke. You are recovering faster than projected? I don't like projections, Evan said. They tend to be wrong. The figure studied him. You helped defend this station.
Yes. You did so while injured, restrained, and without promise of release. Yes. Why? Evan glanced at Lyra, then back.
Because it needed to be done. That is not a sufficient answer, the figure said. It's the only one you're getting, Evan replied calmly. The figure was silent for a long moment.
You understand that your species is feared.
Yeah, Evan said. We earned some of that. You also confuse us, the figure continued.
You fight with extreme force, yet you show restraint when you have advantage. Evan's eyes hardened slightly. Force is a tool. It matters how you use it. The figure looked at Lyra. What are you saying? And her? What about her? Evan asked. She stayed, the figure said, despite orders to evacuate. Evan nodded once. That was her choice. Caretaker, the figure said to Lyra. Do you trust this human? Lyra's heart raced. Yes, she said. The word surprised even her. The figure accepted it without comment. That may be a mistake, or it may be the reason you're still standing, Evan said. Another pause. You will be moved, the figure said finally.
To a higher security wing.
Lyra stiffened. Why?
Because others will want access to him, the figure replied.
Not all with peaceful intent. Evan closed his eyes briefly. I was hoping for a window. You will get one, the figure said. Eventually. When they left, Lyra sat beside the platform, hands shaking slightly. I don't like this, she said. Me neither, Evan replied. This is the part where people stop seeing you as a person. They already do, Lyra said. Evan looked at her. They don't with you. What do you mean? You still talk to me like I'm me, he said. She considered that. Because you are. Later, they moved him. The new wing was colder, quieter, built more like a fortress than a hospital. Thick walls, strong fields, multiple doors. Lyra was not assigned there. When she realized that, panic rose in her chest. I am his caretaker, she argued to the supervisor. I know his condition. You are not cleared, the supervisor replied.
This is beyond your role.
Lyra felt something inside her tighten. Then, clear me. The supervisor stared at her.
You would tie yourself to a human?
Yes, Lyra said. If that is what it means. The decision took time. During that time, Evan waited alone. He felt it too. The shift, the way voices sounded different, the way questions circled closer to weapons and leverage. One voice in particular stood out. You are valuable, it said. Do you understand that? Evan opened his eyes. I'm aware.
Your mind is a weapon,
the voice continued. Your instincts, not for you, Evan replied. Everything can be used, the voice said.
That's where you're wrong, Evan answered. Some things choose. When Lyra finally entered the new room, relief flooded her so fast she nearly stopped breathing.
You made it, Evan said. They argued, she replied.
But I am here, he smiled faintly.
Told you you're stubborn. I learned from observation, she said.
Days passed. Evan healed slowly now, his body hitting limits even it could not ignore. Still, he trained his mind. He asked questions. He listened, and the more he listened, the more concerned he became.
You're preparing for something,
he said one day. Lyra nodded.
Another attack is expected.
Not like the last one, Evan said. This one will be quieter.
How do you know?
Because loud didn't work, he replied. That night, the station lights flickered. Not alarms. Something worse. Systems failed silently. Doors locked where they should open. Maps lagged. Sensors went dark in patterns too clean to be accidents. Evan sat up as far as he could. Pain flared, but he ignored it. They're inside, he said. Command hesitated too long. By the time they reacted, parts of the station were already isolated.
They're not here to destroy,
Evan said.
They're here to take. To take what?
Lyra asked. Evan met her eyes. Me. Security teams rushed in. We are relocating the human, one officer said. Evan shook his head.
Too late.
The lights went out completely. Emergency power kicked in, bathing the room in dim red. Footsteps echoed outside. Not station security. Evan grabbed Lyra's wrist gently. Stay behind me. You cannot fight, she whispered.
I can still choose where I stand, he replied.
The door began to cut open. Metal screamed. Evan's breathing slowed. Focused, when the door fell inward, armed figures rushed in, fast and silent. Human, one said. Come with us. Evan looked at Lyra. She shook her head, fear in her eyes.
No, Evan said. Weapons lifted.
Evan raised his hands slowly, showing he was unarmed. You want me? He said.
Then listen.
The attackers hesitated. You don't understand what you're trying to use, Evan continued.
Humans don't work like that. We will learn, the leader said.
That's the problem? The room shook as station security finally engaged. Chaos erupted. In the confusion, Evan did the one thing no one expected. He pulled power from the monitor beside him and slammed it into the floor. Systems sparked. Locks failed. Fields dropped.
Run!
Evan shouted to Lyra. She froze. You! Run! He repeated.
That's an order.
She obeyed. Behind her, the room became noise and fire. Evan fell back onto the platform, exhausted, pain overwhelming him. As darkness closed in, one thought stayed clear. This was no longer about survival. It was about choice. And humans, more than anyone, would always choose their own path, even if it cost them everything. The station alarms finally screamed, and the galaxy, watching quietly from afar, began to realize something important. A human who chose to stand was far more dangerous than one who chose to fight. The station burned, but it did not fall. Security forces pushed back the attackers corridor by corridor. Emergency doors sealed, fire suppression systems activated. Power returned in uneven waves, lights flickering back to life like a heartbeat struggling to steady itself. Lyra ran until her lungs burned. She did not know where she was going, only that she had to move. Evan's voice echoed in her mind.
Run! That's an order!
She hated that she obeyed. Behind her, distant explosions shook the walls. The station screamed now, alarms no longer controlled or quiet. This was full emergency. She finally stopped in a side corridor, hands braced against the wall, gasping for breath. Fear wrapped around her chest, but beneath it was something stronger. Anger. Evan was still there. She activated the nearest terminal with shaking fingers. Feeds flooded the screen. Security cams, fire zones, life signs. She searched. Found him. The room was wrecked. Smoke filled the air. The platform was overturned. Bodies lay scattered, both attackers and station guards. And in the center of it all, Evan was still alive. Barely. He lay on the floor, blood spreading beneath him, chest rising in shallow, stubborn breaths. Two attackers remained wounded but conscious, dragging themselves toward him.
He's still breathing, one said.
Take him. Lyra did not think. She moved. She grabbed a dropped stun tool from a fallen guard and ran back the way she came, fear screaming at her to stop. She ignored it. When she reached the room, one of the attackers turned too late. The stun hit hard. The second attacker reached for a weapon. Lyra struck again, screaming as she did. Then there was silence. She dropped to her knees beside Evan.
Evan,
she said, pressing her hands against his chest. Stay with me, please. His eyes fluttered open. You didn't run very far, he whispered. I ran enough, she said, tears blurring her vision.
Don't talk. Help is coming.
He smiled faintly. You're terrible at following orders. Be quiet, she said, almost angry.
Footsteps thundered in the corridor. Security rushed in, weapons raised, then lowered when they saw her.
Dare he is alive, one said. Barely, another replied. Get him to surgery.
Now, they lifted him carefully onto a mobile platform. Lyra walked beside them, refusing to let go. Hours blurred together. Surgery lights! Commands shouted. Blood cleaned and replaced, damage repaired piece by piece. Evan's body fought again. The lead healer stood back at last, exhausted. He will live, they said quietly. I do not understand how. Lyra sank into a chair, shaking.
Neither do I.
You refuse to die, the healer said. Even when unconscious, that word spread. He refused. The attackers were interrogated. Their goal became clear, quickly. They had come to take Evan alive, to study him, to break him open and learn how humans thought, adapted, survived. They had failed because he had broken their plan instead, because he had chosen chaos over control. When Evan woke, the station was quiet again. Not damaged quiet, respectful quiet. Lyra was there. He opened his eyes slowly, then focused on her face. Hey, he said weakly. She laughed through tears. You are the worst patient. Still alive? He asked.
Yes, good, he said. Worth it then.
You almost died. Almost doesn't count, he replied. She shook her head.
You could have let them take you. You could have survived easier. Evan's expression grew serious. And let them turn me into a weapon? They already see you as one, she said. That's their mistake, he replied. I'm not a weapon.
I'm a choice. Days passed.
Evan healed slower now, but more completely. His body had limits, but it had also earned rest. Visitors came. Commanders. Scientists, diplomats. They asked questions. He answered some. Refused others. They tried pressure. It failed. Finally, the calm authority figure returned. You have changed the situation, the figure said. Not just here. Evan raised an eyebrow. That bad? Or that important? The figure replied.
Many now question what we believe about humans. Evan glanced at Lyra. Told you stories were incomplete. The figure nodded.
You defended this station. You refused capture.
You protected one of ours. I protected a friend, Evan said.
Lyra felt her chest tighten.
You will be released, the figure said.
Lyra's breath caught. To where? Evan asked.
Not back to battle, the figure replied. You are requested elsewhere.
As a representative. Evan laughed softly. You want me to talk? You made us listen, the figure said. That is rare. Later, as preparations were made, Lyra stood by Evan's side. They are sending you away, she said quietly. Looks like it, he replied. Her ears lowered. That is good. Doesn't sound like it, he said gently. She hesitated, then spoke. When you arrived, everyone saw a dangerous human, a monster, a problem. And now? He asked. Now, she said, they see someone who chose to help instead of escape. Someone who stood when it would have been easier not to. He smiled. Guess I left a mess. You left a mark, she corrected. The day came. A transport waited. Clean. Strong. Ready. Evan stood with help, steady but tired. Lyra walked him there. You'll be safe, she said, though she was not sure. I'll be human, he replied. That's the best I can promise. She stopped before the ramp. Will you come back? She asked. He looked at the station, then at her. If the galaxy's smart, he said, it won't need me to. He paused, then added, but if it does.
Yeah, I will.
She reached out, placing her hand against his arm. Thank you for choosing to stand. He covered her hand briefly. Thank you for seeing me when I was down. The ramp closed. The ship lifted away. Lyra watched until it vanished. Life on the station slowly returned to normal. But something fundamental had changed. Reports spread. Stories shifted. Humans were no longer spoken of only as monsters or warriors. They were spoken of as survivors, as allies, as beings who could endure pain, fear, and loss, and still choose to protect someone smaller, weaker, and afraid. Lyra returned to her duties, but she was no longer invisible. People listened to her now, because she had stood beside a human when it mattered. And far away, moving between stars, Evan rested, healing, preparing. Not for war, but for something harder. A future where humanity was no longer feared only for its strength, but respected for its choices.